Our business proposal for Country of Brazil by Holly Shepard, Julie Hernandez, Jason Scoville, Gloria Reyes, Josh Mayfield, and Marie Morris.
Hofstede Cultural Dimensions is a study on how cultural values affect business negotiations. According to the chart, Brazil and the United States had scores which were closest in masculinity, indulgence, and long-term orientation. The slight differences between the scores should not pose a problem. Nevertheless, it would be beneficial for us to behave more modestly when talking about personal successes and understand that Brazilians are more cautious and less likely to move quickly when presented with new opportunities. The areas of greatest difference are in power distance, individualism, and uncertainty avoidance. Power distance. Brazil has a strong hierarchy in the workplace. Manager-employee relationships are formal, where decision-making is top-down. Identifying the key decision-makers is crucial. Individualism. Brazil is a collectivist society where building trust and relationships are essential steps to take before negotiations can begin. It will take time to make these connections, and we should anticipate that negotiations will move slowly. Uncertainty avoidance. While Americans are eager to try new innovations, business practices, and products, Brazilians are less willing to do so as they do not like ambiguity or taking risks. Contracts should be detailed and clearly written. Understanding Brazilian culture, taste, and needs is imperative when introducing new products.
When doing business in Brazil, it is important to speak the language, which is Portuguese. If you do not speak Portuguese yourself, it is valuable to hire an interpreter who can also be a liaison to help introduce other business contacts and help develop positive relationships in the business community. Brazilians value strong business relationships, so it is worth the time and money that it takes to develop those relationships, and they will be more inclined to do business with those people. They also tend to focus on group benefits versus individual benefits. While negotiating with Brazilian businesses, it would be of value to identify the benefits to the group versus benefits to a sole individual. They'll be more inclined to do business with someone who is focused where they are on the group goals and community benefits. While doing business in Brazil, it will often require patience in understanding that they are more flexible in their scheduling, while we would, from the US, having a more structured schedule, tend to make meetings well in advance and hold those meetings on time. The Brazilians still like meetings scheduled in advance, but may change them last minute. And while dealing with Brazilians, it is best to deal in a direct communication style and have direct feedback, except in negative feedback, where they do not have confrontational exchanges, and those could potentially harm a relationship. So keeping it positive and direct is best.
The government of Brazil is a federative republic, which its party's name is translated into unity in English. They recently had an election. The new president gave his inaugural address on January 1st, 2019, where he promised a society without discrimination or division. There are three branches of the government, and its structures are set up similar to that of the United States government. Some major differences are that they have had more than one constitution, and their amendment and constitution seem to be more open to change than the United States Constitution. Currently, the new administration is working to implement initiatives to help Brazil work toward fiscal sustainability, and they're cracking down on corruption. Their government is also working on simplifying taxes, reducing regulation, and lowering the unemployment rate by making it easier for companies to obtain business licenses.
Economic freedom is the fundamental right of every human to control his or her own labor and property. Economic freedom brings greater prosperity. The Index of Economic Freedom documents the positive relationship between economic freedom and a variety of positive social and economic goals. The Index of Economic Freedom is an annual index and ranking created in 1995 by the Heritage Foundation and Wall Street Journal to measure the degree of economic freedom in the world's nations. Based on 12 quantitative and qualitative factors grouped into 4 pillars of economic freedom. Number 1, rule of law. Number 2, government size. Number 3, regulatory efficiency. And number 4, open market. Each of the 12 economic freedom is graded on a scale of 0 to 100. Brazil economic freedom score is 51.9, making its economy the 151st in the 2019 index.
The government of Brazil actively encourages FDI in many sectors that they would like to develop. These sectors are automobile, renewable energy, life sciences, oil and gas, and transportation infrastructure. Incentives in these sectors include tax exemptions and low-cost financing. Brazilian states compete fiercely to draw in foreign investment. States will offer additional incentives to draw businesses that they find desirable. To encourage economic development in rural areas, there are several free trade zones located in the North, Northeast, and Amazon regions. FDI is restricted in the areas of health, mass media, telecommunications, aerospace, rural property, maritime, insurance, and air transport. Brazil has been a member of the World Trade Organization since 1995. They have several regional free trade agreements in place which could both hinder or help with the importation and manufacturing of products.
Over the last few years, Brazil's gross domestic product has declined. However, as of lately, it seems to be improving. As a result of their gross domestic product being down, the growth rate also declined during that time. Currently, Brazil is rebounding into a positive growth rate of 0.08%. Brazil has recently encountered one of their country's highest inflation rates, as everyday items such as food, housing, and even transportation have rapidly increased. This is partly due to the depreciating real in comparison to the US dollar and overcoming a recent recession. The current exchange rate is 27 cents to 1 real, or 3.72 real to 1 US dollar. The inflation rate in Brazil is looking optimistic in comparison to the last few years. In the past, interest rates in Brazil have reached unprecedented levels, which slowed any economic growth and discouraged consumers from borrowing. Recently, however, lending rates slightly dropped, which has influenced individuals and businesses to again resume borrowing. Unfortunately, foreign entities continue to pay extremely high lending rates. Overall, the economy in Brazil is doing well, as consumer spending is enabling them to progress back to stable levels, and economic growth has become a top priority. Inflation is slowing and interest rates are declining, resulting in job creation and money to be expended.
In Brazil, 40 million people suffer from respiratory diseases. Of those 40 million, 15 million people suffer from asthma, 20 million people have allergic rhinitis, and 5 million people over the age of 40 suffer from chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. The cost of nebulizers range anywhere from $50 to $200. The barriers to entry into Brazil are high amounts of competition. Of those competitors, 5 main companies stand out: Allied Healthcare Products Incorporated, Omron Healthcare Company, Covidien plc, GE Healthcare Limited, and Philips Healthcare. Recently, GE's Latin America CEO was arrested in a Brazilian healthcare fraud.
Brazil is the fifth most populous country with over 208 million population. Essential oil insect repellent is a great product to address the underserved market in Brazil due to increase in Zika virus outbreak in the country, a suspected cause of microcephaly in newborn, which causes developmental problem. It created a shortage in insect repellent. The country's largest pharmacy has stated that repellent sales jumped sevenfold. However, existing repellent can contain harmful ingredients that can cause skin and eye irritation and in some cases could be severe side effects like neurological symptoms. There are 4 large competitors in insect repellent in the country. Tariffs are between 12 and 14, which is more reasonable for importing the product.
One product option to export to Brazil is first aid kits. Brazil is the second largest market in the world for first aid kits, second only to Europe. With Brazil's rebounding economy, consumers are more likely to spend their income on luxury items. Although considered a luxury, the first aid kit is a useful item which many households will choose to purchase with their disposable income. There are also multiple components in a first aid kit, so we can utilize existing trade agreements with surrounding countries to reduce import costs and assemble the final product in Brazil, which strengthens their economy. We can also appeal to various market segments by offering modifications to the first aid kit. We can provide a robust kit for the upper middle class and a very basic kit for the lower income segment. So this is a product that will appeal to multiple market segments and also have the opportunity to utilize existing trade agreements to keep our export costs low.